Hey Dave, what's up?
Fine.
I got your email
Yeah.
about us doing a Q&A again here for our audience together.
Okay.
Um, I got a bunch of questions here that I wrote down from some of the videos we did previously together, and I think you've got a few questions.
Yeah.
Okay, before we get started, guys, we want to welcome everybody back. The main purpose here, guys, of me doing videos with Dave is to get down to basics. I've had a lot of questions about the concept of these videos. So rest assured, guys, I am not leaving my other concept of videos. These videos that I'm doing with Dave are above and beyond the videos I will be posting every week. So make sure to watch every single one of them, especially if you do small engine repair from home. All right, Dave, first question.
Yep.
First question I got. This is about two strokes, and I know you really like two-stroke stuff. So Norm Manning, YouTuber, was watching our videos.
Yeah.
His question was, how often should I replace the fuel filter on my chainsaw?
Okay.
What do you think? Now look at it this way, Dave.
Yeah.
Look at it from a perspective of a homeowner
Yeah.
and a business.
So business and a homeowner.
Yeah.
Well, oftentimes, correct me if I'm wrong, that means there's two different levels or several different levels of equipment that you could buy if you're a homeowner versus a professional user. I'm thinking for a homeowner, if you just own one trimmer and you use it the entire year, one snowblower, one like a two-stroke snowblower, or
chainsaw, weed whacker,
blower. I'm thinking that should be a part of your yearly maintenance with your
exactly. Yeah. Now, if you had a cutoff saw, Dave, that you use on a job site 5 days a week, just like that. What do you think the fuel filter, how often do you think that should be done?
Well, okay, so
I'm talking heavy use here, okay? There's different varying degrees of use even in business.
I run a concrete company doing driveways, and this is my only saw kind of thing, or I have two of these or something.
Okay.
So I think, first of all, I would be more prone to changing the air filter over the fuel filter more often. That's not to say that changing the fuel filter probably isn't a really good idea to do on a monthly basis.
Exactly. If you're doing a lot of driveways or whatever, you're using your saw 5 days a week in the summer, you could do the fuel filter every month if you wanted to.
Right. The other thing too that comes to mind with that is if I'm self-employed and I have purchased this and this is my saw, I might change it, every 2 months. But if I'm giving this saw to the summer student who's going to use this and abuse this, I'd be a lot more worried about debris falling in the fuel tank, misuse, over revving, just general wear and tear that one would expect from individuals that don't personally own the equipment.
Exactly. So what I recommend, Dave, homeowner once a year.
Okay.
Business, I would say once every 3 months. But if you do it more than that, that's better.
Right.
Okay. You can never replace it enough.
Okay. So say you're a landscaping company. Okay. This is a concrete saw. I guess you're not really necessarily cutting all day long with this, but say you're a landscaping company and you have an FS90 or an FS110, and a 4MX engine, and that thing is running for 8 hours a day. Does that make any difference to you, or?
It does, because like you said earlier, debris can get in the tank.
Right.
Okay. So then dirt can get in, obviously, in the filter. So my advice is commercial once every 3 months. Okay. If you do it more than that, that's better. If you're doing like dirty jobs where it's dust all day long for weeks at a time, just use your own judgment. The main thing, it's better to replace your filter more often than it needs than to not replace it.
Right.
It should be.
Okay.
Okay. So let's go back to the air filters on the concrete saws. Some of those filters I recommend after every big job.
Oh, okay.
After every big job, because I've had guys bring in saws after one job and it was plugged on those exact saws, Dave.
One job.
One job.
Now, are these a one-use item, or can you clean them and replace?
You can't, like, you could clean them. You could try to clean them, like bang them.
Yeah.
If you are going to blow, use your air gun. Make sure you blow on the outside of the filter. It's not really recommended because it can impregnate more of the dirt in the actual filter element.
So inside, you're using air, is that what?
Yeah, if ever I blow out cardboard filters,
yeah,
I'll grab the filter and I'll blow the air on the outside of the filter, not toward the engine part. So I remove the filter, but I make sure I blow the air out toward, like if it was installed on the machine, I'm blowing the air out.
Again,
you don't want to blow the air in when you got the filter to simulate as if it was going in the carb, even though the filter's off, because then you've impregnated all that dirt.
Yeah.
And it might get through.
You're just blowing it in further.
Yeah, and then you put it back on the machine, and the dirt is even that closer to actually penetrate and get in there. And the thing with those concrete saws, Dave, is if you don't replace the filters, it's like that sandpaper that you use to sand your cylinders and pistons that you showed us.
Yep.
It's a fine dust. Eventually the machine will have no compression, but the piston and cylinder will not be scored.
It won't be scored. It'll just wear the rings down so much.
It'll just wear down so smoothly.
Yeah.
And I've seen guys who aren't experienced in fixing equipment. They'll take the muffler off. Hey, that looks good.
Yeah. Wonder what the issue is, and they don't check the compression. Now,
exactly.
A question on that then is, if it's really, really smooth, could you not just put a new set of rings in there, or would it be? Are you wrecking the actual cylinder bore depth?
You're wrecking everything. You might get away with new rings. You can always try it.
Yeah.
I personally don't do it for customers. I mean, if it was my own saw, I might try it. But generally, I wouldn't do it, because that fine powder is just like the powder that is coated on that emery paper that you use to sand your parts. And that engine could have ran with that fine dust for hours. And everything's expanded. Like sometimes I've seen where the piston is actually loose in the cylinder. That's how badly they've worn it all out.
Okay. Oh yeah, it could be sloppy in there.
Yeah, sloppy is what I meant.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. That's what I. So now, air filter and fuel filter, we've covered those off. Now, I like to use the landscaping example, because I know, like, they throw them on the trailer, throw them off the trailer, don't care, have the trimmer, they're all day long.
Yeah.
Now, when is it appropriate time to change or do a rebuild or a clean on the carburetor, or do you feel like that is something that you should only touch once it's no longer running properly, or that your adjustments aren't having an effect?
Okay, Dave, you know the old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it?
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Okay.
Because if you run a shop, what happens is if you start putting parts in equipment that isn't yours, it's hard to justify that to the customer.
Okay.
The customer won't think, all the customer thinks is, I brought it to this shop, it ran, why did you put a carb kit in there?
Right.
Okay.
So different for you personal versus.
Yes, absolutely.
For me, if I decide to hire the local kids here to run a landscaping business next year, that's up to me to do that. But you're saying the average customer wouldn't appreciate you putting a $30 carb kit and it was working fine. No,
they won't. You'll get the odd exception where a guy might come in and say, I want you to make sure that this thing will run all summer without it. Then I'll do it.
Okay.
I'll do it at that point. If I don't get that issue, I just leave it. Make sure you document on the invoice exactly what you did.
Right.
Okay. That's very important to you guys watching that do small engine repairs from home. But otherwise, yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know, I mean, spark plug, air filter, stuff like that, that's just like doing the tires on your car. You just do it if somebody brings it in for service.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good to me. Yeah.
Another question, Dave, that I got from somebody.
Okay.
They asked me if Nicosil coated cylinders, you know, when you go on Amazon or eBay, you have a choice. I can buy a cylinder kit that's Nicosil coated.
Yep.
And sometimes it won't even mention that in the ad, in the description. Yeah. So the Nicosil would be like a small coating inside your cylinder. Okay. It would be a small coating inside there. But somebody asked me if the Nicosil coating was better than chrome plated.
Okay.
Okay. And I talked to my mentor, Hugh, the other day about that.
Okay.
And what he said is what you mostly see now are Nicosil coated cylinders, and that the Nicosil appears to be better than the chrome plated cylinders they used to have out there. So what he said is you're going to see more Nicosil. Nicosil's more popular now. Okay. Than chrome plated. So that was a question under one of our videos the other day.
Right, I saw that. Now, just to further that, I had this. I've got a couple questions about this one is here as well. This 272 Pro Saw, I had this all apart. I just made a video on it.
Oh yeah, that's the one we had a video the other day about.
Yeah. So,
okay.
This is a 272. This is the 346 that I had.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, that's the one that we had a video of, what, a few weeks ago or something like that.
Yeah.
So what's the deal? What are you doing? Are you going to fix that, and we'll talk about that in another video, or what's going on?
Yeah, I've got it fixed now.
Okay.
There's I have a couple questions that we haven't covered there as well, along the lines of what we're talking about now. This is the cylinder head for the 346. I noticed when I had the cylinder.
You want to bring it up to the camera?
Yeah, you know what? It's kind of hard.
You have a flashlight?
So this one's kind of scored.
I can see. Yeah, I can see that.
There. So,
did you order like the whole cylinder and everything, or did you try sanding that one?
Oh, I bought the whole kit for this one. I think it's too far gone.
It was a bit far gone. Yeah. Okay.
Now, what I noticed on this cylinder is, and I don't know if it's a difference between a higher end Pro Saw like the 272 versus the 346, which I understand is still a pretty good saw.
Well, they're both XP, Dave.
Right.
Okay. As soon as you see the letters XP, you're buying a Pro Saw.
Right.
Everything's better in the cylinder and all that stuff. Yeah.
And maybe it's an age thing, because I believe the 346 is a lot newer than the 272 I have here. So inside of the 272 cylinder, it's almost like it had an extra protective skirt on the intake and the exhaust side. It didn't exist on the sides, but on the inside and exhaust side, basically little half moons of like an extra protective skirt. I don't know if that was chrome plating. I don't know if it was extra Nicosil, but it appeared to me like it had a reinforced side skirt.
Yeah, it would be better, Dave, than like if you work on, like let's say you work on a Husqvarna 240, anything without the XP numbers on.
Right.
You'll notice a difference. Now, they're all going to have some Nicosil, but the Pro versions will be better. Better coating. They'll have better porting in the cylinder, maybe even better metals.
So I think that's what I was looking at.
So it's normal if you have the cylinder from an XP professional saw, it's going to look of better quality. Okay.
Yeah. And in that case, the aluminum from the piston actually came off of there far easier, because I believe the Nicosil is a harder compound.
It's hard. Yeah, it's better than, like I've ordered in the past just for myself, like kits on eBay and Amazon, and they literally showed up, Dave, with no coating. They were dull as can be.
Just dull.
Dull. Okay. They did not last.
They didn't last at all. So I'll ask you the question here. This is the one I was telling you about with that video. This is so I ended up fully sanding this piston down, fully sanding the cylinder, sanding the ring.
Okay.
Back together. I've got 140 psi in the saw right now.
Well, that's amazing, because I saw that piston and cylinder.
Right. It wasn't great. Now I spent 3 hours standing on it. So how, like, my intention of this is, it's my saw. I'm going to keep it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sell it like that because I don't feel good about that.
Yeah.
So how long, and I'm going to order the new Meteor piston and ring.
Okay.
But I'm kind of curious to know how long you think a sanded piston, cylinder, and ring will last in a saw like that. Like, how much time did I buy myself?
You could have bought a lot of time. Okay. Oh. And I would advise, like, go 40 to 45 to 1 mix in your gas.
Okay.
Keep a lot of oil in there. You will notice it will have less compression than if you compared it to the exact saw.
Right.
That was never damaged.
Yeah.
Okay. So you'll live with a little less power, a little less compression. That's why you have a little less power when you lose a bit of compression.
Right.
But that could last you, as a homeowner, that thing could last you for years, Dave.
Oh, okay.
As long as it runs good.
Right.
If your compression gets low, and it can happen subtly, even though a chainsaw starts, it does not mean that it's running right.
Okay.
So you could have a chainsaw that you sanded everything down like that. And especially if you sand the piston and the cylinder, you're losing a bit of the clearance. Exactly. The clearances are a lot bigger.
Right.
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 So if the compression gets too low, Dave, even though the saw starts, you could start to get problems where when it's warm, it doesn't run as good. It doesn't idle as good.
Right.
I have to adjust the carb every time I use it. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So I know you just did it. I don't know how you've come across, but if you don't get these issues, you're doing good.
Okay.
But if you get those issues and everything else is good, it could be because the tolerances aren't they're just not the same anymore.
Okay. I think it would be cool to try just a new high-end piston ring.
Yes.
Right. So now
even I know one.
I know what my compression numbers are now. Try it with the ring, and then try it with the ring and the piston. If I mean, it's a labor-intensive job, obviously, but you know, if I had unlimited time, that would be a cool experiment.
Yeah. If you're doing it for yourself and you want to do an experiment, that'd be good.
That'd be kind of cool.
That'd be a good thing to do.
That's all I've got for that saw, really. Was there any other that came up? I think you had a couple more, right?
So again, I'll bring up the flat tire on the snowblower. Yep. Okay, I've been asked that question since we made the other video a little while ago. Yep. I've already been asked that question again.
Right.
So anybody watching, if you haven't seen the video that Dave and I put out not long ago on snowblower tires, basically all I recommend, guys, if you have flat tires, put a new tube.
With the tube.
Permanent fix. I'll put the link to that video under this video so you guys can go watch that again. Yeah, so Dave, and like I mentioned in the video, I tell people try to avoid that slime stuff because it can make your rims rust, like I mentioned in the other video.
It's funny, I tried that. I tried it. But
oh, you did? Yeah, I remember you said that.
It was minus 10 Celsius here, and the stupid stuff wouldn't come out of the bottle anyway, so I threw it in the garbage.
I think we've all tried it at some point.
That's a waste of time.
I've tried it, and I've never bought it since. I'm not saying it's not good. It's just maybe you need a machine that the tires turn faster for the slime to get around the bead.
Well, exactly. The snowblower tire isn't spinning very fast. So.
They don't go fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's about it for today, Dave.
Okay.
Do you have any more questions?
I think there was one more on YouTube about a snowblower carb.
Oh, yeah. Okay, you know what? I almost forgot that. So, I've got a Briggs & Stratton OEM carb here.
Yep.
Okay, this is a common carburetor that you will get on a lot of snow blowers. My shop's full of blowers, so I'll just show you a few here. So there's a Briggs right there. That Toro's got a Briggs.
Yeah, I can see that. That's a good one.
That's the smaller Briggs version. I've got a John Deere blower over there.
Yep.
A bit of a mess in here. It's packed, but it's got like a 1450 Briggs.
Oh, wow. Okay, big one.
Okay, yeah, so it's a bigger engine. So this is the carb for it here. Now, the reason I want to bring this up, a lot of guys fix blowers for other people. Now, if you buy this in Canada, okay, the list here is about $159.99 or more sometimes. OEM brakes.
Right.
You can get this carb on Amazon for 20 bucks. It's tempting, eh?
Is it the same though?
It's the same carb. Okay, they all come from China. This is made in China.
Okay.
But it's under the oversight of Briggs. The reason I'm talking about this today, and anybody watching that fixes those machines, I'm giving you guys a really good tip here. I've been there, I've done it. I bought the cheap $20 carbs, okay? Because who can resist that?
I know.
20 bucks, free shipping.
Tempting.
Very.
It's on Prime.
Well, Prime, yeah. Sometimes it's free without Prime. Okay. So I bought these carbs. I put them on for cheap people. And guess what? They all came back. They all came back.
Okay.
They all came back with leaking carbs. They would only run on choke. Flooded.
Right.
Okay. And even like small engine parts distributors, they'll sell aftermarket ones and charge you $100 for them, and they're still garbage.
Same thing. Right.
I have never, ever got a good carburetor like this aftermarket that was good. I never have. I'm not saying that the people watching today haven't, but I have never gotten a good one. They've always come back.
Okay.
This is the part number for that carb. 796122, common carb. You guys can look it up. Okay.
For a wide range of different Briggs engines?
Yeah, it'll fit on the like 1350, 1450, 1550.
Okay.
I actually keep these in stock.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you get a carb in the shop and it's too far gone. Like you can clean it, do everything, it still doesn't work. You've wasted 2 hours.
Yeah.
They're not always the easiest ones to get access to on the machine. So if you take it apart 3 times, you've wasted, it could be from an hour to 2 hours.
Right.
And then you let it go to the customer, he might be back in a month. And I've seen it happen.
Right.
So I'm just giving you guys a huge tip today. Huge tip.
Buy the OEM. Get it.
Buy the OEM if you do not want people to come back.
Right.
Okay, if you're doing it for yourself and you want to sell the machine, it's like Russian roulette. You might get a good one. You might. Right. You might.
Yeah. The last thing you want is waking up on a Sunday morning and having someone that you sold the snowblower to
exactly
message saying, what the heck's going on here? You sold me a lemon, blah, blah, blah.
And you know what I do, Dave, is I often get people where they will they'll say, oh, please put the cheap one on.
Right.
I don't go there anymore. No. Because I've done it before.
It burned. And
then they came back acting as if they had never wanted that.
Right.
Okay. And just to be a nice guy, I said, okay, I'll put in the OEM one and I won't charge you labor, just pay me the difference. So basically wasting my time.
Right. So it's just easier to be above board right from the start.
It's more professional if you use OEM carbs in your repair.
Right.
Okay.
Especially if it's for someone else.
And yeah, and here's what's happening a lot, Dave, is I get people that'll come in and I call them up and say, hey, the best way to fix your machine is to put a new carb.
Right.
Okay. And you don't make money selling carburetors.
Right.
Okay. So by me putting a new carburetor, I'm just getting the labor, which is less labor than me wasting time trying to clean your carb, putting a new carb kit in it.
Right.
Because sometimes I get people that come to the shop and I tell them the price. It's like, oh, like, why is it so much money? I say, well, I don't put cheap carbs from eBay and Amazon. I do it right or I don't do it.
Right. And I guess that's the balance point for a lot of folks where You know, if it's a 3-year-old $1,200 snowblower, it makes sense. But if it's a 15-year-old one to rust out, maybe they just go buy a new one, right?
Absolutely, yeah. You don't want to be pumping in a couple $100, $200-300 in a snowblower that's only worth $100.
Right.
I'm honest with people. I'll tell them, look, in my opinion, you're better off to just go buy a new machine.
And they all have a shelf life.
They do, yeah. Things don't last indefinitely. And again, if you want to make your carb last longer, is use good gas.
Yeah.
With no ethanol. I know it's hard to find in some areas, but always use good gas and run your machine dry when you put it away in the spring.
Stabilizer?
Yeah, you can use stabilizer.
Let me show you the bottle of stuff that I just picked up. I watched one of your videos and I was pretty impressed with it. It's the the K100.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was pretty impressed with how it worked, and I'm going to start using that. So.
And I started using that stuff, Dave, because like I did tests myself here, and I made videos on them. And
I saw those jars. I remember that.
Yeah. I mean, I just did it for myself.
Yeah.
Like just so everybody knows, I wasn't sponsored to do that, but I just found that it just worked the best for me.
Cool.
But when you put stuff away, the very, very best way is to have no gas in your car.
Right.
That's the ultimate, because stabilizer is not always a guarantee that everything's going to be fine, no matter how you do it.
Right.
But I've never had an issue with the K100. It's been the best for me here.
Cool.
Because it's a better one that absorbs water, I found.
Cool. All right.
All right.
Anything else?
I think that'll wrap it up for this Q&A. We're going to make some more Q&As, and everybody watching, just send us your questions.
Yeah. Yes, we'll answer.
And you can say it's for Q&A, but I just randomly go through all the comments. Like all the answers today basically are all YouTuber generated questions.
Right.
That I brought to you, and your questions were basically your own stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Dave, thanks for joining me again.
Awesome, thanks for having me.
And we'll see you again, Dave. Take care. Everybody, make sure to subscribe to Dave's channel. The link is under the video. There are links as well to the other stuff we talked about today in this video as well. Thanks again for watching. Have a good day. Okay, bye.